welcome to Shari Erickson and to all of you to the Shari Erickson virtual artist reception for her featured artist show going on now through November 1st, 2020, in case you're watching this in 2020. Okay, so Shari, just give us a little bit of background to start off with and tell us how long you've been doing art and how you got involved in it.
Well, I've been doing art since before I can remember, by what I'm told by my parents. And so I spent my whole childhood drawing and daydreaming, and somehow I got through school, even though I don't remember the actual academic part of that. Mostly I only remember all the art classes. And then I went to a high school that had a great art teacher, Diane Smith. I don't think she's here today, but she's just a really wonderful art teacher, and I am still in touch with her. And then I went to art school at the Kansas City Art Institute in Missouri, and I had some great instructors there also, including an illustration teacher, Jack Liu, who was very inspirational to me. And I connected with him on a level with the nature art because he did beautiful pen and ink drawings of birds and seed pods and nature things. So immediately I took a liking to his art and was influenced by him as well. And then after art school, I went right into the wildlife art scene and did shows and duck stamp contests. And I went all over the country doing art shows and got into the print market and all of that. And then I got into interpretive art for nature signs and fish hatcheries. And I did that along with the wildlife art. And then the wildlife art print market crashed and a lot of the shows went under. And that was really hard for a lot of us. But I had the interpretive art that I was doing, so I did a lot of that. And then the government sort of lost some funding for that, and a lot of that art is government funded. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to have to reinvent myself again. So I decided that I was just going to go very regional with my art and focus on the fine art paintings. And that's what I'm doing now. I still do occasional interpretive art when somebody manages to get a budget for some signs for their park. And that work is really fun, but I can't really say that I do a lot of that anymore. But that's where I'm at now.
Okay, great. So tell us what your main focus was for creating the show that's at the gallery. Like, what's your favorite subject matter?
Well, I love the Pacific Northwest. I can't even say how much it inspires me. So I'm drawn to the textures of the Pacific Northwest, like the moss and the waterfalls and the mist and all of that. So that's the subject for my art. And that's what inspires me, and all the animals that live there, of course. So I guess I don't really consciously make a theme for myself. I just paint what inspires me, and it happens to be a theme of moss and water and Northwest birds and animals.
Okay. So I am going to do a screen share because I promised everybody. Yes, and welcome to all the new folks here. Let's see here. I'm going to do a screen share, and I promised you that we would talk about this one.
Oh yeah, Cascadia. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this painting is sort of it's actually a place in my brain, even though it's inspired by many places in Oregon, especially in the Columbia Gorge. The lower falls was inspired by, there's a little waterfall that comes off the side of Multnomah Falls when you hike up the trail. The lower part of that falls was inspired by that. And the upper part of the falls is inspired by Oneonta Creek. And there's a waterfall at the end of the gorge there. There's a beautiful slot canyon there that you can hike up, though it's closed now because of that fire a few years ago. So, and then the bird is a varied thrush, which represents the rainforest to me. And so I put all that together into this painting, which represents this whole region called Cascadia. And so that's the reason I painted this. Now, the way I constructed it is that I took a theme of V shapes, and I used many, many V shapes throughout this painting to give it an architecture and to give it a flow. And so it's not just random, even though there's so much going on in it, there had to be some sort of a construction under it. Otherwise it would just be a mishmash of weird shapes and lines that didn't really have any flow. So you can see all the V's there, like the waterfall canyon and the trees and even the shape of the ferns. It's all based on a V shape.
Shari, you were telling us something about this the other day about, let's see if I can remember, the way you started it out, you painted.
Border snake in there. I mean, she's actually snarling at me. She's really starting to
Shari, do you remember what we were talking about the other day about this piece where,
Well, when we were shooting, go ahead.
Yeah, when we were shooting the video, you were telling us about the background, I think, and how then you bring out is it this piece that you were talking about that?
I'm not sure because I was hyperventilating through most of that video.
Yeah.
So I don't even know.
We did a Meet the Artist video, which will come out this next week, that Shari did. She did great. So, okay, well, let's get back here. I'm going to check on our waiting room again. So again, welcome to everybody. And if I share.
By the way, look, there's the piece we were just talking about.
All right.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Live and in person.
So I believe Shari said everyone should have their favorite beverage. I've seen some of you have your favorite beverage. And I believe someone said they're going to have a piece of pie. Is that Reed who's on here?
Yes,
with
that
us?
was Reed that said she was going to make us all apple pie and apple crisp.
I'm waiting. It's my favorite. So, and for those who just joined, if you have, bless you, if you have questions, click on your chat and type them out, and we'll get those to Shari. So Shari, we also talked about, I'm going to go back here to share screen again, because we also talked about your use of metallics the other day. And which one do you want me to bring up here?
Maybe the tango one might show it.
The
I'm
tango,
not sure.
That's right.
I'm not sure which photograph on there shows the metallic very well. That kind of shows it, but maybe Dan can hold that one up and wave it around after we're done talking about it. So I have gotten into the use of metallic paints to use as sort of like special effects, I guess. And this painting is about some trees in the forest that are dancing. The painting is called Tango. And I use the metallic paint around the trees to show their energy and their connection to each other. And so it's really hard to see that in this photo. So it'd probably be best if Dan could wave it around and you could see the effect of it.
Can you see?
Try tilting it forward. I can sort of see it. Yeah. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, yes. There it is. There, hold it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and can you see the trees? When Shari brought this piece in here, she called it Tango, and I could tell it was about the trees dancing, but I really didn't take note until I really studied it. And I love how the trees are dancing together, and the one is trying to get the one tree its partner, and it's just a fun painting.
There's a lot of drama in there.
Yes.
Just like humans.
Well, Shari, talk to us about your plein air process, since you do a lot of plein air.
Well, the process is basically haul a bunch of art stuff out into the wilderness and paint what you see in front of you. So getting the art stuff out to the wilderness is probably the hardest part of it all. Because, you got to bring everything with you, right? So a lot of my paintings are done in plein air or are started in plein air and finished in the studio. Some of them I add animals to later because the animals are kind of hard to do when I'm out there in the middle of nowhere trying to capture the landscape as the sun changes the light. And so that in itself is really hard. So sometimes I will add animals. Like there's a little one of a robin that I did. I think maybe you could show that one down. It's called Rockin Robin. And it's on the
he'll go find it. So
yeah, or you could put it up on the screen. And that one I did of some rocks. And when I was painting it, a robin actually did fly in and land on the rock that I have it painted on, but I didn't add the robin until later. And it's so small. It's like the size of my pinky fingernail. And when I paint detail, because I'm pretty far-sighted when I have contacts on, I wear readers. I wear really strong readers so I can see. And this painting, I wore 2 pairs of readers so I could magnify it enough, because it's easier than holding up a magnifying glass in one hand. Just stick your magnifier on your face, right? So maybe Dan can hold up the original and show how small the actual robin is, like with your pinky finger or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how small that is?
Daniel,
It's really small.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very tiny.
Yes, I tried to put the highlight in the eye. I think I got it in there, but that was really hard.
So you like to go to places in the gorge, if I recall, the Columbia River Gorge.
Mm-hmm. I, for a while, was concentrating just on Clackamas County, but the gorge isn't in Clackamas County, so, and I can't leave the gorge alone, so, but pretty much my work is Northwest Coastal Regional, and I think it's pretty representative of Southeast Alaska all the way down to North Canada, or Northern California on the coast. I think it's all a similar ecoregion, and that's what I'm drawn to paint.
Oh, like Koopy Falls here I have on screen.
Yes, that's in the gorge. Yes.
Is that the nuns?
Yes, that is at the Franciscan Villa in Bridal Veil, which is a great place. They will let you in with, if you get a hold of them, they'll invite you to come visit, but it's a private residence, so you have to get permission to go there. And they have beautiful gardens there, and they have up behind the villa, there's a hillside, and there's a little trail, and you hike up the trail and it ends at this falls. This is the lower part of the falls, and right beyond it kind of has a pool, and it goes to a big, huge falls up above it. And you can see this falls from one of the trails in the gorge from above. I'm not sure which one it is. Bridal Veil Trail, maybe an offshoot of that. But this is the only way you can see it from below is to go to the Franciscan Villa and hike up to the trail here. And I hauled an art cart, which is like it's got 2 wheels, and it's a cart and has a bunch of art supplies and a chair and everything. I hauled everything up there and set it all up, and I was sitting up there painting this, and it was quite noisy with all the water, but I could hear some birds like nuthatches and winter wrens, and but I felt this weird feeling of being watched up here, just a really strong feeling. And I'm not sure, I don't think it was, it just didn't feel like the normal, like having wildlife around, deer and all those things. Because you sometimes look around and you see a deer, and but that doesn't, it's not as freaky, but I really felt like something more, I don't know, bear or something, but I like to think maybe it was Bigfoot, because I've been thinking about Bigfoot, and I kind of don't and do want to meet Bigfoot. But so I think that Bigfoot was watching me paint that.
Yeah, just not up too close.
No. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't smell him, so he wasn't too close.
So remember, if you have any questions, type them into chat or raise your hand, or whatever you want to do. We'll get those answered for you. So Shari, talk a little bit about your the stamp contest. And you said they don't do it as much these days. The funding isn't there, but what did you have to do for that? How did that work?
Well, there are still quite a few stamp contests. A lot of them have gone under because they haven't been cost effective for the states that put them on. There's the federal duck stamp contest, which maybe you've heard of. I've entered that a number of times, and I can't remember what the highest placing I've gotten that is. I didn't place in the top, I think the top 10, I guess, a few times, but that one's a big one. But that one, that program's in trouble too. So I hope that it survives, but a lot of these conservation programs are in trouble right now. But I did win a couple. I won the Oregon Upland Game Bird stamp, and I won the California Duck stamp. And what happens when you win is they make stamps for those images, and then they are required purchases by people who are buying hunting licenses, and they also are voluntarily purchased by people who want to support the programs that the stamps fund, which is basically supporting the refuges and the either state-run or federal-run refuges. So it's really a worthwhile program, and what you get in return is a really neat little stamp with art on it. And then many of the artists will make, or some of the programs also will make prints of them, and people collect those. So I have prints of those, and I don't think my Upland Game Bird stamp print and stamp are available anymore, but my California print is, but I don't know about the stamp. They only sell them for a year and then you can't get them anymore. So they become collector's items.
Well, congratulations on all that. That's great.
Thank you.
So
But I haven't been doing that lately, so.
tell us about the ukulele.
Oh, I love ukuleles. I'm obsessed with ukuleles, and I hope to do some recordings and combine them with my art. Oh, you have a ukulele too. Oh, hi, Denise. Oh, of course you have. All the way from Scotland.
Oh, wow. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So anyway, Denise, I met through ukuleles, and Denise is a fabulous artist. I found out after I met her through the ukuleles. So that's pretty cool too. So we have a lot in common. And what was I saying? Oh, ukuleles. Yes, I want to get more comfortable with recording because I want to make some art videos and combine with ukulele music, though I do have some friends that play better than I do that I have incorporated with my ukulele music. There's a couple of videos on my Facebook with some beautiful ukulele music that I didn't play. But anyway, it makes a nice combination of nature art and ukuleles because they sound so sweet and harp-like and gentle. And I just really like the combo. But ukuleles is my hobby, and I'm never going to be like, a professional ukulele player or anything, but I just love it.
Nice. So what are you doing during this year? You were preparing for your show, but now the show is going on. So what are you doing now during COVID? And hopefully someday we'll be able to get back together in person, and you can bring your ukulele. Jim can bring flutes. We'll just have a gay old time and have fun. And
I'm going to bring ukuleles and pass them around.
Very fine.
And then
Good.
I don't have to play by myself.
There you
There
go.
you
Okay,
go.
so yeah. And then Dan can sing for us.
yes.
Right? So even though I play classical music, I can still strum some chords and he can sing. So that would be fun. Okay, so after this show took a lot of my time. I worked really hard to get it all ready to go. And I have still been doing a few things with some other artwork. I am doing some art for some people that helped me when I had to evacuate for the fire. We had to scoot out of here really fast, and we had a 2-horse trailer that wasn't working, and this lady came with their 3-horse trailer and got our horses on and took us. We didn't know where we were going because all of our horse friends were evacuating also. So the lady who evacuated us found a couple with a place up in Troutdale, and they took us there and dropped us off there, and we stayed there for 2 weeks with our horses. And I have a lot of people I want to thank with artwork, so that's what I've been doing. So that's going to take me a little while to do that. And then after that, I am going to start a new website with some more merchandising type stuff on it, so that I have some items that aren't as expensive as the original painting. So I'm hoping to have some cards and T-shirts and mugs and things like that, and some less expensive prints, and as well as paint for the gallery. So that's what my plan is.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to jump back and share my screen here again, and I want you to talk a little bit about your moss monster. Come on. Talk about the moss monster and what you're working on here.
Okay. I've started a little series. This is only number 2, so I guess it's a series since there's more than one, but there's going to be more. And what these are, when you walk through the forest and you see moss forms on the trees, sometimes they look like little creatures. And so I've decided that I'm going to take those little creatures that I find in the forest and paint their portraits. And each one will also have a metallic background that fits its mood. This one is silvery and misty, and there's water drops and stuff. And the first one, it had more light, gold, it had more sunlight in it, so it had more of a golden background. And then my third one I'm doing has a metallic blue background because I have this blue Ford Ranger, and it was parked by the nature trail. And when I turned around, my moss monster was against it. And I thought, that is really cool. So it's going to have a blue metallic background on it. And if you can, maybe Dan will have to show this one too, because it's very, very metallic. And
Yeah,
the
I don't think ours,
there, yeah, that might show.
that shows
The
a
moss
little
monster.
bit.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. The moss
Yeah.
monster is actually not metallic at all and not shiny. It's very matte. And so the contrast between the background and the moss monster, when you walk along in your room and you just, as you come towards it, you can really see the metallic. And then as you come straight on, you can't. And it all comes together.
And you can see the metallic as Dan's turning
Yeah.
it and showing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of colors in the metallic too. It's not just a flat silver. There's some warm tones and blue tones. I wanted to give it a misty, rainy kind of a feel.
Nice. So what else would you like to share with our audience? Or if anybody has any questions for Shari?
Well, I had a question about the background on it. When Dan was showing it, it's very slick and shiny, very metallic looking in through there. I was just wondering how you were achieving the effect of that metallic feel.
It's actually metallic paint, and it's made of it's made of mica particles, and they're coated with oxides. And I have some different tones of golds and silver and bronze and copper, and they really come across as being really metallic. And the gold looks pretty. I mean, it looks a lot like gold leaf actually, but it doesn't cost as much, and it's easier to work with, and I can put it where I want it, and I don't have to depend on the film and stuff. And that's really touchy to do. So, and I can also put the metallic paint on top of paint layers, unlike the gold leaf or the silver leaf. Right. So it works really well for me to do something like the tango painting.
Yeah,
where
it turned out very nice.
For that.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thank you.
Tell us how long you used crayons and that story.
Oh, my teacher, Diane Smith, she's never going to let me live this one down. I did use other things as a kid, but I just liked crayons. And so when I was a freshman in high school, I brought some of my earlier work, and some of it was crayons. And she was like, "You're using crayons and you're like 14. Well, yeah, why not? You know, so anyway, so I guess crayons were better back then too. They weren't waxy with no pigment like they are now. So they were kind of more legitimate, art supply. But I just loved them. And my mother would surprise me with a new box of 64. And it was just really great. And the way they smelled and all that. And my poor parents, I mean, you had J.K. Gill back then, which had oil paints and crayons or whatever. They're just, you had to go to a specialty art store to find art supplies. And they weren't artists, and they didn't really know that these places existed. And I didn't know that they did either, to even ask for them, because I think they would have given me the world had I known what to ask for.
Are you returning to crayons? Do you secretly have?
I don't know. Maybe we might have some here, or we did it one time for when my niece and nephews were younger, but I don't think I have any crayons anymore.
I'm going to go back. I liked the story you shared with us the other day about Drive-By Sunset. I'd like you to share that story. Okay.
This one, I suppose we all go driving around and on country drives and sightseeing drives, and you see beautiful landscapes, and sometimes you can pull over and take a picture, and sometimes you can't. Well, this one I couldn't, and so I just snapped a quick picture, and it's really, really, really blurry, but the colors were wonderful, and the scene was beautiful, but the picture was awful. And so it just inspired me to paint this painting, which I could definitely make it, hopefully, better than the photograph. And I called it Drive-By Sunset. And with me in photography, I do a lot of photography for support for my painting. But if I actually do take a really good photograph, which is really, really rare because I'm just not a good photographer. If I take a really good photograph, I just let it be a photograph, because photography is an art form, of course. And if I happen to do one that is halfway decent, I'm not one to take a really good photograph and then copy it. I prefer to use a selection of different references, and a lot of my photographs that are bad sometimes I use them for reference because they've given me the information that I need to take back to the studio. And so for me, if I get a really good photograph, I'm not going to just make it into a painting. It's like, okay, as it is, I don't need to do that. So that's how I use photography.
Okay. Linda Jerome has a question for you. Linda,
Okay.
She's under David Jerome. She's incognito today. Are you usually working on more than one painting at a time? And then she'd like to know if you work in acrylic or oil.
Okay. So you broke up a little bit. Could you ask me that again?
Yeah. Are you working on more than one painting at a time? And are you working in oil or acrylic? Which medium?
Okay. I use acrylic, but I use golden open acrylic. It's not like regular acrylic. It dries slower, but it's not like oil either. It's its own thing. I think it has similarities to oil, acrylic, and gouache, I think, but it's its own thing. I just love it. It has a luminosity like oil, but it's not as fussy as oil, I guess, because oil paints and me don't get along. I'm allergic to the smells of them, and even the linseed oil bothers me, so I can't really use them. And also they dry too slow for me, and I end up with the whole painting on my hand or, sleeve. They just frustrate me. So the open acrylic's perfect for me because the traditional acrylic dries too fast. So it's just perfect medium for me. And as for painting, I paint lots of paintings at a time. And I'll have 5 or 6 that I started in plein air that I'll poke at for a long time sometimes. Many of the paintings in this show were started quite some time ago. And it was the deadline of the show that actually made me finish them. So
I think you were going at them at the very last minute and framing and even saying,
yes.
I'll be over at the last deadline of the day you want them delivered.
Yeah, that's how it is. And I didn't even get as many done as I wanted, so I hope you got enough there. I think I took you, 38 paintings or something, but a lot of them are miniatures, of course.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of artists that start one and finish one and they don't have more than one going, and they feel most comfortable doing that. But I start too many, and sometimes I won't let myself start a new one until I finish one because I get too many going on, and then it stresses me out because I don't have any done.
And Denise has a question. How do you avoid getting brush marks with the metallic paint?
Oh, I love brush marks. So there's brush marks. There's a lot of brush marks. I don't like brush marks that intrude into the subject matter unless I want them to from, say, an arm's length. I like them to blend together so that the subject matter and the texture of the subject matter you see first. And then if you get a little bit closer, then that falls apart and you see the brush strokes. For a lot of it. Now some of my paintings, even from a distance, parts of them will look impressionistic and you can see the brush stroke. So unless it's a duck stamp, then no brush strokes. You got to make all the brush strokes go away. It has to be more than photorealistic. It has to be like hyper cartoony realistic, really. So that's just a lot of dry brush and smoothing out, and it takes forever.
I can imagine.
Yeah, you can. I bet you.
Thank you.
Shari, what else would you like? Are there other pieces you want to talk about that are in your show that you want me to bring up?
Now I've drawn a blank, of course. So, I don't know. Maybe we could show that. Is it possible to see the whole bookcase full of miniatures to show how they all look together?
And can try to do that.
If you can't, that's no big deal. Because
let's see.
Let me get my camera here switched around if I can.
Because I just really like how many there are on that bookcase.
That's as close as I can get, but that is what that bookshelf looks like with all those tiny pieces.
Yeah, it looks great up in person. Yeah, it looks really nice.
I really like seeing them all displayed like that. And she's got they're on cute little what are those little things?
Little pedestals, not
easels.
pedestals, but easels, little miniature easels. Yeah.
They're just little tiny plastic easels, and they look really nice. And I was thinking they really look good on a bookcase or a curio cabinet or something. And because they don't need to go on a wall. And then you can pick them up and look at them closer. But I just get a kick out of seeing all those on there because, I didn't see them like that. They were hanging around, laying on tables, and then they went into a box and went to the gallery. So it's really nice to see them displayed like this.
And one got sold yesterday, and it's on its way to Ohio. So that's exciting. Yes.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they're really fun. They are. They're just like, they're about this big.
Mm-hmm.
And really detail oriented and really beautiful paintings. And
Thank you.
Dan's got the camera aimed at your larger pieces that we had on the wall too.
Mm-hmm. It looks so nice. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. And we are open Friday through Sunday, 11 to 4, or by appointment Monday through Thursday. So anybody who's local, you should come see the show. It really is spectacular. And doggone COVID this year really threw our featured artists into a bad place. But everything is also available on the internet too, online to shop. And there's my husband's forehead there.
Gigantic forehead storms the internet.
That's how that worked. Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, good. Diane's going to come in soon and see them because it's been a while since you saw them. So, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, Shari, what else do you want to share? Or any other questions?
Somebody asked me a question because I'm kind of, blank.
I'm trying not to cover too much that we have in your upcoming video, too, so it's not saying.
Yes, we'll have some more historical photos in your upcoming video. We've got some photos of a very young Shari that we'll be including in that video. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that's what I was.
You mean the one in the art show?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of your earlier works too. You send me photos of. That'll be good.
I think I was in my 30s in that art show. I should try to find a childhood one, but I don't know if I have one of doing art. I have some ones where I'm doing weird things, but not art, maybe.
Well, do you have any favorite subject material that you like painting? I mean, you have such a wide variety. What do you really enjoy, or what draws you?
I love birds. I'll paint a bird before anything else, maybe. And I love botany. I guess I'll just go through everything I already paint. Botany, birds, moss. I just love the whole Northwest habitat thing. I think when I was, I think if I wasn't an artist, I might be a botanist, maybe, if not a musician. But I don't know if I'm good enough to be a musician. But I would have been a botanist for sure if I wasn't an artist. So we've had this summer camp that we.
Hey,
I'm so young.
nice.
Okay. That's at an art show, I think, in California. And there's a duck stamp painting down there in the blue. That was for the federal duck stamp, and I don't remember how it placed or if it did. And it's Barrow's Golden Eyes, and the scene is in Alaska in a fjord with a glacier coming down into the water in the background. So anyway, I was talking about how I would go to summer camp, and there was this one, Camp Wakayo, and there was this older lady. Her name was the Nature Lady, and we called her Miss Rhoda. And she was really crusty and kind of scary, but I loved her. And she knew all about plants. And so she would, every day she would pick a native plant and put it in a little vase of water. And we'd have to look in on the nature plant guide walls that she made she did leaf imprints with ink prints of the leaves. So we'd have to identify the plant and then look up in the nature books something about it. And a lot of it was Native American uses, perhaps, or what wildlife eats it. And so we'd have to write down something on that. And so after the 2 weeks of the day camp, anybody who got all the answers got to have a special candy sucker that Miss Rhoda made from boiled sugar water, and she'd put flavorings in them and put them in molds shaped like different things. So that was a really cool prize to win. And I loved that so much, and I learned so much about that. And it turns out that Miss Rhoda lived down the block from me, so I'd go visit her. And she was a big influence on me. So even now I think of her when I plant or when I paint different little weird plants in my scenes. And I try to make them either suggestive of a species or to actually be identifiable as a specific species.
Gabrielle is asking, have you ever entered birds in art contests?
Yeah, but I've never gotten in. But I only did that when I was younger. I haven't done it since. I may try again sometime. I don't know. But mostly, I don't enter too many contests. It's kind of stressful, and there's entry fees involved, and then there's incredible shipping fees involved, and framing and stuff. And it is kind of all kind of, I don't know, it's kind of an investment without much of a return, if you ask me. But maybe I'll enter again someday. I don't know.
And then Linda is asking about the Meadowlark painting, which I'll pull up here. She's wondering if it was for a stamp also. And then the comment is, your work is so detailed and it really feels like the Northwest outdoors, which it
Thank you.
does. So let me pull up the Meadowlark one that she is talking about.
Okay.
And she's actually hanging out at Bjornson. Here.
Mm-hmm. And yes, that was
And
that
where
was
is it? There it is.
there.
Valley
It is.
Song.
That one was painted for what was that one for? A habitat conservation stamp contest for Oregon, and it's a Willamette Valley scene, and the plant is called Kincaid's lupin, and the butterfly is called oh shoot, did I get that wrong? It's I can't remember now. What's wrong with me? Oh, why can't I remember the name of the blue butterfly? That's funny. Anyway, it's very rare. And the lupin and the butterfly, it says on there, maybe you can read that, tell me what my butterfly is. I can't remember. I should know this. The butterfly and the lupin have a relationship where the butterfly is completely dependent on this lupin. And so the lupin needs habitat to grow or the butterfly will die out. So there's been some efforts to conserve habitat and establish nice colonies of lupin, and the butterfly is doing okay in several locations in Oregon and one or two locations in southern Washington, and that's the only places these butterflies and this lupin grow anywhere. So the Willamette Valley, even though a lot of it looks all grassy, a lot of it's pasture, which is not native grassland. That's all introduced grasses from Europe. So a native grassland has different kinds of grasses and other kinds of plants growing in it, and it's a very specialized habitat. And some places you can see it are Finley National Wildlife Refuge and Basket Slough National Wildlife Refuge, which aren't too far from the gallery. So it's appropriate that this is out at Bjornson right now, I think.
And Reed has a comment.
Okay.
So lovely to see your amazing work and lovely to hear about your process as an artist.
That's great. Thank you, Reed. Reed's a really good friend, a ukulele friend as well. She's from British Columbia and she lives in a beautiful, beautiful place. And I get to see all her beautiful photographs all the time.
Nice. Any other questions for Shari?
Thank you, Shari. It's been really interesting.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This is recorded, so we will be posting this on social media and get a copy to Shari so she can share it as well. So if there's anybody that wants to see it, they'll be able to see it. Shari's show is continuing through November 1st of 2020, so a couple more weeks. Everything is online. If you don't live nearby, you can look at it online. Follow Shari on her Facebook page. She does a lot of videos on how she creates her art. And you said you have a YouTube channel as well.
Yes, and I'm going to get more into that as well.
Yeah, so that's good. So, and if you have any questions, just drop us an email or holler at Shari and connect with her. But yeah, hopefully if you're local, you'll be able to come in and see the show. And then I'm going to do a shout out real quick, Shari, because our next two featured artists happen to be here, Dan Pomaris and Linda Jerome. And they will be their featured artist show November 3rd, and we will be doing a similar artist format for their reception. Thank you, COVID. But
See you again, Sherry.
thank you, everyone, for coming, and hope
Thank
to
you.
see you soon. Thank you, Sherry.
Yep.
Thank
Great
you.
job, everybody.
Nice job.
Bye.
Sherry.
Good talking.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.